I'm Maile Bloxham. Welcome to Vicky's Fabrics. I wanted to talk to you about a couple of little tools that we use all the time, but are probably the unsung heroes of our sewing. I wanted to show you seam ripping and this nifty little tool that is really essential if you are a seamstress sewer that does a lot of serging. Okay, this is also a seam ripper, but it is a little more dangerous than our usual seam ripper, so we're going to put this on the side for now. I will be really honest, I have a dozen of these little seam rippers all over the place because they're extremely inexpensive and I'm constantly losing my seam rippers. Don't get me wrong, I do love a good clover seam ripper, but you know, by the time I've lost my 10th one and I'm pulling another one off the shelf. So I just have my little itty bitty teeny weeny ones that are really inexpensive, like $1.25 each, and I have a dozen of them everywhere. So let me show you a couple of tips and tricks about seam ripping. So seam rippers have a point. They have a blade on the inside and then they have a red ball on the other side. Now, I'm going to show you the way I do a lot of seam ripping as it helps preserve seam and prevents stretching on the bias. If I have a seam here that I want to take out, I'm going to use my point. I'm going to slide under every 3 to 5 stitches. If I know which side is the bobbin side, I will be on that side. I don't remember which side I was on because your bobbin is a little looser sometimes than your top stitch. Then I'm going to turn this over. I'm going to pull a couple of threads and I'm going to pull the whole chain off. And that way there is no tugging on the fabric at all when I am pulling my seams apart. This is really important if you are working with bias, and that way we can go ahead and re-sew that seam. What the red ball is for, sometimes if you have a straight seam, you can actually slide that along on the inside of the fabric where that red ball is on the inside. If you have, for example, you know that it's a straight edge and you're dealing with a whole border, for example, you can carefully do this slowly, moving the excess threads out along the way. The thing with this is I would not recommend using this on bias because of the stretching, number one. And number two, you do have to be careful because sometimes if you do get fabric caught in here, you can actually cut your fabric. I haven't seen a seam ripper like this. This is mostly for seamstress work. It is a razor blade. These are replaceable. You can find replacement blades for these. A number of companies do them. But what these are really nice for is for taking out serger stitches, because you can just get that blade under that serger stitch and see how easy it is just to go along there without worry about cutting your fabric, but you are getting all those little threads cut easily. And once those threads are cut on one side, you should be able to fairly easy pull apart the seam. It's a very old dress. I don't tell my mom that I'm doing this because these will start coming out because they're all attached. And then you'll be able to separate your seam. But the downside to this is, of course, when you cut every single piece, you're going to end up with a lot of little threads. There you go. See? Now that I got it started, this will just come apart because I've broken up one of those seams. Okay, so these are really cool for the seamstress working on a serged edge. Oops, wrong cap. Make sure you use your caps. That is a safety feature. They are not a bug. Okay, we'll see you later on Vicky's Fabrics.